While we're all eagerly awaiting to see the full self-driving Beta 9 update, it seems that it's out there in the wild somewhere being used by employees. Elon Musk is recently revealing more about it on Twitter. There are also some leaks out there right now talking about how the system is working and some visualizations of the screen that might be what we see in the future once everything is polished and looking nice for public consumption. So first, some of the more exciting things, let's talk about some of the stuff that has been leaked. So Tesla's UI designer recently left the company. When he left, he started his own company and has his own website. And on that website, he very briefly posted some images and videos of some UI design work that he was doing with Tesla. So in this first video, he's showing the on-screen animation of what the full self-driving software would look like. Now, if you're using a public build of full self-driving or autopilot, it looks pretty similar, except this one is a little more polished. There's way more detail. You can see the person walking down the street. Looks a little funny, but they're much more animated in the way that they're walking. Rather than just having some floating traffic lights, we actually have the traffic light pole, and the animations, the way the car moves, the streets are a lot smoother, and everything looks really nice. So as of right now, the full self-driving beta is just a bunch of dots, and while a lot of people, myself included, really dig that look, it's not really great for the public once it's out there to inspire confidence. When you're just seeing a bunch of dots all over the place and boxes, you don't exactly know what they mean. The car can tell the difference between cyclists and pedestrians and motorcycles and semi-trucks, but on this screen, it's all just slightly differently shaped boxes. And so it doesn't give a human that much information unless they're looking for what the car is doing, how it's planning its next move, and things like that. Once full self-driving is in public hands, you just want a nice visual to show you the car knows what's going on, to give you confidence that it's going to make the right decisions as it's driving itself around. A side note on this designer's leaks, he also put up some never before seen footage of the Cybertruck's UI, which looks really sleek and could be a preview of what we see with the version 11 software, which is coming out eventually. Who knows when? We've been waiting a while for that. There were some leaks about the version 11 software last month or 2 months ago, and it looks really nice. We expect it to come with the new Model S and X refresh, but we've just been kind of chilling on the same software on our cars for a long time. When we're used to getting new features, new graphics, new games, every month or so, now it's been several months with really no significant updates, just bug fixes. Now, part of that may be because of the chip shortage and Tesla having to get a new supplier for some of their chips so they didn't have to slow down production, but we're getting off a little bit on what we're focusing on here. So let's get back to that. So with full self-driving Beta 9, we know that Tesla is getting rid of the radar. So currently in all Teslas, including the one I'm driving, and if you're driving a Tesla in your Tesla, the car uses a combination of the cameras around the car and the radar in the front to make decisions. Beta 9 is getting rid of that front radar and going to go vision only, which is pretty crazy. But Elon Musk says a major part of real-world AI has to be solved to make unsupervised, generalized full self-driving work, as the entire road system is designed for biological neural nets with optical imagers. So a bit nerdy way of saying that humans drive around with cameras, their eyes, and their brain to process those images. So Tesla's goal is to have the cars do the same thing, only use cameras, no other input, and make the decisions correctly. Now, there's lots of arguments that could be made as to why that's great, but why not have some other sensors? Why not have some radar there? Why not have some LiDAR? But for now, this is what Tesla is going forward with. So how are we going to know how well the system is seeing? Now, if all this full self-driving talk makes you want to buy some Tesla stock, you can use my referral link to download Webull, and we can both get 2 free stocks. You can also buy Dogecoin on Webull, so if you're into that, check out my link. It'll be in the comments and in the description, and we can both get 2 free stocks if you use that link. In the current beta that's running on my car and a few other people's cars, you can see the dots, and it's all kind of a probability. The car thinks that it's a lane line, and most of the time it's right, so it represents the dots as a lane line. But they move around a bit, you can see them shaking, and that's the car being unsure of their exact position. Same thing with vehicles. Sometimes you'll see the boxes that represent vehicles move kind of strange, back and forth, left to right, blink in and out of existence, and those are all just the car kind of calculating, is that thing or image actually there, or am I wrong? So Elon Musk said full self-driving version 9 will show actual probability distribution of objects. True mind's eye of the neural net. This is so cool. Was using this in my car last night. So what exactly is this going to look like? It sounds like on the screen, we're going to see a visualization of what the car is showing and the probability that the car is correct. Now, does this mean there will be a car on the display with a little percentage gauge next to it that says 89% because the Tesla is 89% sure that object is a car. That sounds a little too overwhelming for somebody that's not an engineer at Tesla, with maybe a passenger in the car also working on getting things fixed. But it seems there will be some representation of how confident the Tesla is of the objects it's detecting around it. I kind of feel like that's what we have with the beta already. So is Musk hinting that soon the beta style visualization and maybe even version 9 is going to go to a slightly wider rollout? Really no way to know, but he responded to Holmar's blog saying, "I think what Elon Musk is saying is that the visualization will look smoother. Rather than the lines moving around, you'll see a representation of the uncertainty as a probability distribution somehow. So should inspire much more confidence in the system." And Elon Musk responded to that and said exactly. So my best guess here is, rather than having the dots moving around all the time like we're currently seeing, those objects will just be stationary. Of course, this is all just drawn by the computer. Tesla can set the rules. They can say, don't let these things move around. Just if there's a line, just put it in this spot and that's it. And maybe there will be some type of shading or color change or straight up numbers, percentages on the screen that show us how confident the car is that that's the correct object. Now, how important is this going to be in the long run? I don't think it's going to matter all that much, but it will be great when Beta 9 first starts coming out to people. Elon Musk said to get full self-driving Beta version 9 released, the gating factor is achieving and proving higher safety with pure vision rather than with vision plus radar. We are almost there. Full self-driving Beta 9 will blow your mind. I'll be honest, I'm a tiny bit skeptical. We've heard these things before, and I am all for it. I think it is going to be better. I mean, honestly, I think it will be better, especially if we give it a few weeks or a couple of months. But it's hard when you hear these things several times and then they don't happen. So I think a lot of people are going to be really weary of this, but we're going to know for ourselves soon enough. Now that moves us into the next leak that we have, and this one isn't as substantial or concrete as the leaks we got of the visualizations, but supposedly somebody using Full Self-Driving Beta 9, a Tesla employee is what we would assume, has shared that compared to version 8.2, which is the current version on my car and other beta testers' cars, interventions have dropped significantly. Home to work, work to home, in traffic is flawless. They said the biggest difference is its ability to anticipate during the creep, whereas before it would hesitate too much. He feels like the car is seeing better. So this is actually one of my biggest complaints with the beta. When you're doing most tasks, the car is very good, but when it gets up to a right turn and especially a left turn, it does this move where it creeps for visibility. Now that move on its own is great. It's something I do, it's probably something you do, and the car, when it's good, it's creepy. I mean, I don't have another way to put it, but it really is creepy when the car is creeping, and it does a good job because it just very slowly kind of inches up and you just feel the computer kind of, looking down the road to make sure it's clear and safe to go. And so when the car does that right, it's awesome. But far too often, the car does its little creep maneuver and just stops, or just kind of keeps creeping and then stops and then creeps a little more and then stops. Or worst of all, creeps, decides, okay, let's move forward, and then mid-turn, it will either stop or slow down. That hesitation is just no good, especially when the car has, in my experience, been almost always correct. Now, we can get into almost always isn't good, but we're still in the beta phase, so it's not out to the public yet. But anyway, these times where pretty much, in my experience, all of these creeps are correct. They creep, it's clear, let's go, and it hesitates or it stops or it slows down, it just kind of kills the mood and it makes it frustrating. So if this leak is accurate, that is incredibly exciting. Now, of course, we don't want it to be confident when there are vehicles approaching, but from my experience, again, the car is very good at seeing those as they come. In most circumstances, there are still some that need some work, but we're hoping these updates, this version 9, will solve a lot of those problems. The leak continues with his biggest takeaways compared to 8.2, the current version, was intervention per mile dropped significantly. Turns much smoother. Again, one of my complaints. Creep is 10 times better. Mentioned that the anticipation is otherworldly, especially around heavier intersections. So again, big grain of salt with this one, but if this is true, this is really exciting because turns are probably one of the most difficult things that beta needs to solve. That's kind of like a basic driving task. Of course, we can get into all the edge cases. A lot of those, we won't know until they're approached. But a lot of edge cases, I find the car actually handles them better than I would think. It's more those basic driving tasks of just like taking an unprotected left turn that the car kind of hesitates or struggles with when you know, to me or you, it's like, come on, this is simple, just go. But to the computer, it just doesn't quite have it nailed down yet. Now, some other good news for people outside of the US, Beta 9 hopefully will get to Canada or whatever version they're on within the next few months. You know, hopefully, again, none of this is concrete. And then in Europe by summer or late summer. Again, a lot of that is up to regulators. Even the current public version of full self-driving that we have here with Smart Summon is better in the US than it is in Europe, just due to the regulations. They make it so the cars are not as capable, and so it's not as nice or fun for people to use those features in Europe. Now, one of the last things, and I saved it for the end on purpose because I don't like to talk about it and nobody does, timelines for this stuff. Apparently, in about a week, Beta 9 will probably be out. So I like the qualifier there. It's not that, oh, we're getting Beta 9 on this date. It's just probably 2 weeks. Of course, nobody knows. Tesla could be testing this, and if they find a bug, you know, one day before they want to send it out, then they can't send it out. So that's just the way it works. But it looks like we're getting at least kind of close to there, hopefully at least by the end of May. At this point, I kind of believe the by next week, but you know, ask me again next week. So hopefully that'll come out. Exactly who's getting it is a bit unclear. It's a small set of testers. Now that could refer to me and the other beta testers. It could refer to just a small set of Tesla employees that it's going to expand out to just them at first, and then maybe the beta testers, the public beta testers. It could be that they're going to enroll even more people in the beta program. It's really unsure. There's a lot of unknowns right now, a lot of silence from Tesla's side. So not too much insight into that other than what we're hearing from Musk himself. So a lot of people were sour to beta recently when the button was kind of promised and then yanked away, and I really don't blame anybody for that. Tell me how you're feeling these days. It seems people are kind of, you know, not so annoyed by that anymore. Maybe they've kind of, you know, gotten over it or just forgotten about it or tried to forget about it. Let me know down in the comments how you're feeling about full self-driving Beta 9 and just the beta program in general, what you're thinking about that. Do you think we're really getting it next week, or is it going to be 5 months, and kind of how this is going to progress in the future? Personally, I'm excited for it. I'm very glad. I know that it probably is hard to see some people have it, and then you're like, what the heck, I paid as well. But you know, Tesla could have done a closed beta like they did with Smart Summon, where you did get a few leaks, but those people weren't supposed to share. So it is nice that we can see these updates as they're happening rather than it all being in the dark. But at the same time, a wider rollout would be fun for those that are responsible. So anyway, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this one, and you will see me in the next video.
So Autopilot and I are happily driving along